Your mother-in-law has a secret plan to take your unborn baby, like legally take custody. That's not a nightmare. That's an actual Reddit post. And here's the thing. The husband agreed to cut her off completely. But wait, he just came home late with a smile, a gift bag, and $1,000 in cash that he tried to hide. Yeah, this gets so much worse. So let me take you back to how this all started. Because honestly, the warning signs were huge. Like you couldn't miss them. When the mom first found out her daughter-in-law was pregnant, she was crying tears of joy. Over the moon, right? Seemed sweet at first. But then things got weird fast. The family moved into a new place, and the mother-in-law offered to come help. She asked to stay for a night or two, just a night or two. 2 months later, she was still there, living on their couch. Didn't even ask to extend. Just stayed. For 2 full months. And keep in mind, this is early pregnancy. You know how those first weeks are. Mood swings, exhaustion, hormones going crazy. The mom admits her patience was thin. But here's the thing, the mother-in-law pushed every single button she could find. Then, 2 days before the daughter-in-law's birthday, she completely lost it. I'm talking name-calling, accusing her of trapping her son, telling her to go F herself. In her own home, while she's pregnant. So obviously they kicked her out. Right, that's the only sane move. But wait, on the actual birthday she shows up again, uninvited, and refuses to apologize. Here's the exact line she gave. "I don't apologize to see you next Tuesdays. I only make improvements through actions." Yeah, that's not how apologies work. That's not how any of this works. But here's where it gets frustrating. Against every instinct, the daughter-in-law gave her another chance. Why? Because cutting her off completely was causing major tension with her husband. He's used to this behavior. His whole family is. So she tried to be the bigger person. Spoiler, that backfired horribly. Because after that, the mother-in-law started constantly referring to the unborn baby as her baby. Not my grandbaby, her baby. And that made the mom deeply uncomfortable from day one. But she didn't know the worst was still coming. See, the mother-in-law had been talking badly about her for months, secretly filming her inside her own home, twisting the footage to make her look bad, calling her a thief because she moved cash from their desk to deposit into their shared account. You know, normal banking stuff. And then the brother-in-law's girlfriend dropped a bomb. She told the mom that the mother-in-law had an actual step-by-step plan. First, she wanted to create situations that would drive the mom away from her husband. Make her leave, but leave the baby behind. Then she tried to prove the husband was also unfit to parent, and once both parents looked bad, she'd go to court and try to get full custody of the child. Not visitations, custody. As a first-time mom hearing that, she said she couldn't even describe how terrifying it felt. She didn't want this woman anywhere near her baby. Didn't even trust her to hold the child, because in the back of her mind, she feared she might actually harm her. And the worst part, her husband and his brother are so used to their mother's behavior that they keep softening, forgiving, letting her get away with it over and over again. So now she's stuck, trying to protect her baby, but married into a family that treats this insanity as normal. Okay, so up to this point, the mom already knew her mother-in-law was difficult, but she had no idea just how deep this thing went. It was the brother-in-law's girlfriend who finally told her the truth. And honestly, it's the kind of conversation that would make anyone's blood run cold. Turns out the mother-in-law had been talking badly about her for months. Not just venting, I mean actively trashing her to anyone who would listen. But wait, it gets worse. She had also been secretly filming the daughter-in-law inside her own home, and then twisting those videos to make her look bad, like editing them out of context, making her seem unstable or aggressive when she wasn't. That alone is horrifying, right? Being recorded without your knowledge in the place where you're supposed to feel safe. But then the mother-in-law started calling her a thief. Why? Because she moved cash from their desk to deposit it into their shared bank account. That's just normal financial management, but somehow that got twisted into her being a criminal. And here's the part that really gets under your skin. The mother-in-law has been telling people that the baby isn't her grandchild. She's been saying the child is hers. Like literally her baby, not figuratively. She's been going around telling friends and family that this baby belongs to her. Now, the brother-in-law's girlfriend didn't stop there. She told the mom about the actual plan, the full thing. So here's what the mother-in-law intends to do. Step 1. She wants to create a situation that drives the daughter-in-law away from her husband, make their marriage fall apart. But crucially, she wants the mom to leave the baby behind, like make her so miserable or so scared that she abandons her own child. Step 2. Once the mom is out of the picture, she'll try to make the husband look unfit to parent as well. Maybe dig up old stuff, maybe exaggerate little things, maybe even fabricate evidence. Who knows? But the goal is to make both biological parents look like they can't take care of the child. And step 3, that's when she goes to court. She would file for custody of the baby, not visitation, full legal custody. Let that sink in for a second. A grandmother secretly planning to take a child away from both parents through the legal system. Now imagine hearing that while you're pregnant with your first baby, the mom said she can't even describe how terrifying it feels. And I believe her, because this isn't just a difficult in-law. This is someone who has schemed for months. Secret recordings, lies, manipulation, a coordinated plan to steal a newborn. She said she doesn't want her mother-in-law anywhere near her baby, not even to hold her, because in the back of her mind, she genuinely fears the woman might harm the child. And honestly, given everything we've heard, that fear doesn't sound paranoid at all. But here's the problem. Her husband and his brother have lived with this behavior their entire lives. They're desensitized. To them, this is just how mom is. They soften, they forgive. They let her keep doing these things without any real consequences. So every time the mom tries to draw a firm line, she's met with resistance, because it's his mother. And she doesn't want to be the one tearing the family apart. But here's the thing. She's not the one tearing anything apart. The mother-in-law is. The secret recordings, the lies about theft, the custody plot, that's the destruction. The mom is just trying to protect her unborn child. She said she doesn't know what the right next step is, but she knows one thing for sure. Her priority is protecting her baby. And right now, she doesn't feel safe with that woman anywhere near them. And honestly, after hearing that plan, who could blame her? So here's the really frustrating part. The mom knows she has to protect her baby. That's not even a question. But her husband and his brother, they've lived with this woman their whole lives. So to them, this insane behavior is basically normal. They've been conditioned to just soften, forgive, let it slide. Then she does something crazy again, and the cycle repeats. That makes it incredibly hard for the mom to draw a firm line, because it's his mother, and she doesn't want to be the one causing family drama. But here's the thing, she's not the problem. Anyway, the Reddit community had a lot to say, and they did not hold back. First, almost everyone said she needs to take this deadly seriously. Like this isn't just annoying mother-in-law behavior. This is a planned custody theft. So one person said she should move in with her own parents or a sibling if possible. Put as much distance as possible between her and the mother-in-law. Bring the baby home to that safe house, not to the shared home. Another person said document everything. And I mean everything. Every weird text, every unhinged comment, every time the mother-in-law showed up uninvited. Keep a binder. Write down dates, times, what was said, who witnessed it. And tell no one. Not even the husband, because he might accidentally tip off his mom. Hide that binder somewhere safe. Then someone suggested installing cameras inside and outside the house. Secret ones. Don't tell the mother-in-law. That way, if she shows up or tries something, there's video proof. And in a legal situation, video evidence is gold. A few people said she needs to get a protective order against the mother-in-law. Like, legally bar her from coming near the baby. And if her jurisdiction allows it, she should start that process immediately. Others took it further. They said contact CPS and the police preemptively. Not because they'll do something right now, but to get it on record. To create a paper trail before the mother-in-law makes her move. That way, when she does try something, there's already documentation showing a pattern of threats. One comment basically summed it up as scorched earth. Cut the mother-in-law off completely. No contact. Forever. She threatened to take your child away by fabricating lies. That's not something you come back from. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a declaration of war on your family. And honestly, the whole community agreed on one thing. The mom's priority is protecting her child. And if her husband can't get on board with that, then he's failing her as a partner. Some people even said she should be prepared to leave him if he keeps choosing his mother over his own baby. Because at the end of the day, you can't negotiate with someone who has a detailed plan to steal your newborn. You can only outmaneuver them. And that starts with documentation, distance, and legal protection. So she took the advice seriously, all of it. She contacted CPS and made a formal report. She told them every detail about the mother-in-law's plan to frame her as an unfit mother and try to gain custody of the baby. She put it all on the record. Then she and her husband called the mother-in-law to confront her directly about everything they knew. And here's how that went. The mom immediately went into denial, screaming, crying, insisting she would never do something like that. And then came the guilt trip. Heavy, emotional guilt tripping aimed right at her son. By the end of her tantrum, she had actually managed to tug at his emotions. But the daughter-in-law stayed firm. She didn't cave. After that call, the mother-in-law blocked her on social media, and the mom blocked her right back. She didn't want this woman having any access to her or her baby, not even through photos or posts online. And at first, the husband agreed to honor her boundaries. He said he would keep his mother completely away from their child. So for a moment, it felt like maybe they were on the same page. But then something happened, and here's where it gets worse. He came home from work about an hour late, walked in with a gift bag and a smile, handed her $100 in cash, said his mother gave him a baby shower gift. Since she wasn't allowed to come to the actual baby shower, she sent something through him. Inside the gift bag was a card, and the card was addressed to the baby, not to the parents, to the baby. And it used that specific phrase that the mom had already told her husband makes her extremely uncomfortable. The mother-in-law had repeatedly been calling the daughter her baby. And here it was again. In writing, the mom's heart sank. But her husband, he brushed it off, said she was overreacting, that it was just a nice gesture. Now here's the detail that really stings. For the last couple of weeks, she had been asking him if he'd heard from his mother. And every single time, his answer was no. Not once did he mention meeting up with her. So he had been hiding this. But it gets worse. Inside that card was $200, or so he said. He told her his mother gave him $200, and he had an extra $100 in his wallet, so here's $100 for her. That was the story. She asked to see the money. He refused. She kept pressing. And finally, the truth came out. His mother gave him $1,000 in cash. $1,000. And she told him not to tell his wife how much it really was. She said if he had to say something, make it seem like a much smaller amount. So he did exactly what his mother asked. He lied to his pregnant wife about money his mother gave him in secret. And here's the thing. This happened after everything they agreed on, after the CPS report, after the confrontation, after he promised to keep his mother away from their child. It felt to her like his mother was buying her way back into his good graces, and he was letting her. She told him straight up. She said his mother is manipulating him to allow herself back into their lives. His response: that's not a very nice thing to say. Not a denial, not an argument about the facts. Just, that's not nice. She said she felt heartbroken and frustrated. She hates that it feels like it's them versus her right now, especially at such a vulnerable time in her pregnancy. But she made one thing crystal clear. Her stance hasn't changed. Her mother-in-law will not be allowed around her baby. Period. No amount of cash in a card changes that. Okay, so that first story is already insane, right? But that's not all. Here's another one that will make your head spin. This one is from a guy who hasn't spoken to his parents since he was 14 years old. And it's not because he was some rebellious teenager. It's because his parents divorced when he was 14. The divorce was extremely messy, extremely hostile. His dad caught his mom cheating. Awful stuff. But here's the part that breaks you. The only thing his parents had in common after the split was that neither of them wanted anything to do with him. Their own kid. He never understood why. They never told him. So he went to live with his grandparents. He tried for a year to reach out to his parents, called, texted, probably begged. They completely ignored him. So eventually he cut contact and moved on with his life. Fast forward 14 years. He's getting married in 4 days, stressed about the wedding, trying to make everything perfect. And out of nowhere, his parents barge back into his life. But here's the absurd part. They don't want to come to the actual ceremony. They don't want to celebrate with him. They literally just want to show up for the photos, take some nice family pictures, and then leave. Like, what? They just want to be in the wedding photos so they can pretend they were there. So they can project this image of a happy, supportive family that absolutely does not exist. Some of his relatives say this is their way of trying to make amends, their way of asking for forgiveness. But the guy isn't buying it. And honestly, can you blame him? 14 years of silence, no apology, no explanation, just a demand to be in the pictures. He ignores their texts and calls. But there's a small part of him, that little abandoned kid who spent years crying, wondering why his parents didn't want him. That part of him is conflicted. So he's asking, is he the jerk for refusing to let them come? So what did the community think? Pretty much everyone agreed. This wasn't about making amends. This was about image. Bad parents don't deserve photo ops at your wedding. If they really wanted to apologize, they'd start with actual words. Like, I'm sorry, can you forgive me? Not show up a week before the wedding demanding to be in pictures. One commenter said if they truly wanted a second chance, they wouldn't choose the week of your wedding to step in. Another said hire security or have friends block them from the church and reception hall. Don't let them steamroll you. Long story short, the guy decided his parents are not coming to the wedding. He had a big argument with them. And honestly, he thought he'd feel bad or have some remorse. But he didn't, not even a little. His parents even tried the pathetic move of contacting his fiancée to talk sense into him. But she already knew everything. So she simply told them to go to hell. He paid a bit extra for extra security at the wedding, just in case his parents tried something crazy. He didn't want any drama or scenes on his big day. And that's where the update ends. No further comments from him, which probably means the wedding went just fine. No explosions, no court cases, no stolen babies, just a guy marrying the person he loves, surrounded by people who actually showed up for him. So yeah, a rare, satisfying ending, at least for that story. Okay, after those heavy stories, we need something light. Enter malicious compliance. A guy gets moved into an IT role where everything has to be a ticket. Question, ticket, clarification, ticket, divine revelation, ticket. No ticket, no work. His boss even says stop responding to client emails directly, forward them to product managers, follow the process. The guy says fine. A week later, a CFO from a major client emails asking for help. Normally he'd reply in hours. Instead, he CCs his boss, confirms receipt and politely asks for a ticket. Days go by. CFO follows up. Guy does the same thing, delicious silence on his end. Suddenly his boss is panicking. Why haven't you responded to the CFO? The guy calmly reminds him, you said tickets only. You were said, go ask the product manager. Long pause. Then his boss finally says, okay, fine. If it's from an executive, just respond. Make a ticket afterward. Process over results. Not anymore. Sometimes you have to let the system break to prove it's broken. Hey, thanks so much for hanging out till the end. If you made it this far, you probably like these kinds of stories. So seriously, check out a couple more on screen right now. You might enjoy those too. And hey, don't overthink it. If you want to see more, just hit that subscribe button. No pressure, just appreciate you watching. Take care.